Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds. If you'd like to join the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you can get alerted when I go live or post new videos. And if you could hit the thumbs up on this video, I would appreciate that as well. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays where I go live around 4 p.m. Central Time, or outside of my YouTube channel. You can consider joining the Discord I've created. There is a link for that down in the description below. Also down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. That is a great place for you guys to see some of the meals that I've been enjoying as I've been working towards my goal. Today is day 902 of my challenge to lose 300 pounds. And so far, through a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, I have been able to lose 250 pounds. Nearly half my body weight I've been able to lose since starting this diet. If anybody has any non-scale victories, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I love hearing those as well. If you are succeeding with your diet, share it with the rest of us. Let us know what you're doing to succeed. If you're struggling with your diet, share that with us as well. Maybe there's something we can help you with, or somebody, something that we can help you figure out. And at the end of the day, what are some things that you are doing that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Let's go over here to the main. Hello, everybody. Pretty Girl's mom, Rebecca. Let's see, Janet's checking in here. Sonia's here as well. Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. Yes, happy Friday, everybody. Getting ready for a very busy weekend. We starting it off this evening when I get home. It is going to be running around and dealing with kids and everything. Hello, Jennifer and Carrie checking in. I hope you guys are doing great today as well. We have a busy night tonight, running kids around, having some kids over, hanging out. Just feel like we are our kids' chaperone half the time, or the kids' chauffeur is what I meant to say, not chaperone. We're always their chaperone, right? But their chauffeur. So yeah, we are getting ready for the weekend here. I will go ahead and real quick go over the food since yesterday. Last night's dinner was amazing. It had it's like vegetable barley soup, I think was the name of it. Let me pull up a picture of it here. Very beautiful, bright colors in our soup last night. Carrie didn't have any yellow potatoes at home, and so instead of using white or yellow potatoes, she ended up using a sweet potato in the recipe, and it was really good. The funny thing about this, and every time that we have something that has that barley or farro or what was the one that I couldn't think of the other day? Barley farro. Wow. It's gonna bug me again. Oh my gosh. But anyways, those grains that they really soak up a lot of the juice in the bulgur wheat. Yes, bulgur wheat was the one I couldn't think of. But they soak up the juices and flavors from the food. And I mentioned to Carrie last night that one of these times that she's gonna have to make this soup and then just put it in the fridge for a day or two, and then get it out and eat it for dinner, and give that those grains a chance to soak up all those juices. But yes, this was a wonderful dinner last night. We all shared it as a family. some of our kids enjoyed it, some of our kids not so much, but at least they were trying it, and it was really good. Like I said, big, beautiful, bright colors in that food last night. And then food today, I ended up having broccoli like normal for breakfast. I used that Sunshine by Tabitha Brown seasoning on the broccoli I had this morning. And then we had our normal oatmeal with a mix of oat groats and steel cut oats with mushrooms, onions, and spinach in it. And then for lunch today, we had kind of a little bit different thing for lunch today. We had some of the Hannah yams, or the Jersey sweet potatoes. So Carrie made some of those up, and we had those with our broccoli today instead of the golden potatoes that we normally had. And it was really good change of flavor and taste. We mixed the potatoes, the broccoli, and then we also used some more of that Sunshine by Tabitha Brown. That it's spice. It has a spicy aftertaste, but it has a really sweet initial taste. So the sweetness of the seasoning plus the Hannah yams, really, it was a very sweet tasting lunch. And I was initially kind of disappointed that I only had 2 potatoes, but they seem to be more filling than the normal potatoes we have, as filling or more filling than the normal potatoes we had. So just having 2 of them actually filled me up quite a bit. Let's see. Jennifer says, please share how you make your oat groats and the recipe you showed a picture of with the mushrooms. Looked so good here. Yeah, this is something that we started eating, a savory oatmeal. Oh my, it's probably getting close to a year now. But 6 months, 9 months ago, we started eating savory oats instead of sweet oatmeal in the morning. It's something that we changed after I read Chef AJ's book. I think it was The Secret to Ultimate Weight Loss was the book I read. But we use a mix. So we take oat groats and steel cut oats, and we just mix them into a big container so that we get kind of a mixture of it when we make our oatmeal. And then we cook it in the Instapot. I'm not sure if Carrie has a specific spot where she has like the exact, ingredients, because it's something we kind of made up on our own. We throw a couple handfuls of spinach in there. We chop up a good portion of mushrooms and onions. And I think she uses some of the West soy milk, or it might be called Soy Life now. I can't remember if they changed the name, but we get that from Walmart. And it's just soy milk. So, but yeah, if Carrie's still listening here, maybe she can chime in with anything more on the recipe. And then for seasoning, when we first started making it, we used the Kirkland's no salt seasoning, and now we tend to use the Table Tasty in it now. So Jennifer here says that you like the idea to mix both the groats and the steel cut oats. Yeah, that's something that kind of arised. Well, one, we were trying to avoid rolled oats. And just from the research and stuff that I have read, we want to try to eat our food as minimally processed as possible. So eating the oat groats would be, the most minimally processed that we could get them. But it was a little thick eating just oat groats. So we decided to mix in the steel cut oats, and it really is good. Jean here says, hello all, you picked up your Jersey yams today. You baked 4, ate 2 for supper, and they were tasty. That's what we had today. Carrie baked 4 of them, and I had 2, and she had 2, and that was our lunch today. Not sure what we'll end up having for dinner. Like I said, we got a busy evening, so I'm sure it'll be something super quick and easy like Spanish rice or something like that. So, um, let me see. So yeah, that was really the food today was broccoli, oatmeal, and then broccoli with the Hannah yams for lunch, and it was really good here. Um, let's see. Yeah, I am a big fan of the Hannah yams. I know Chef AJ talks about them a lot, and we started picking them up recently. Gene says you bought a 40-pound box, bought a 40-pound box, and it had 43 potatoes in it. So those are some healthy, good sized potatoes. And it's amazing how, fruits and vegetables, they really, are serving size portions for us in a lot of regards, like the size of them. So Carrie here is throwing down the recipe for the oat groats there, Jennifer. It's 1 cup of the oat groat steel cut oat mix we have. We use several mushrooms cubed, an onion, a few handfuls of spinach. There's 1 cup of soy milk and 2 cups of water. And then we use whatever salt-free seasoning that we feel like using. And we prepare that all in the Instapot. And Carrie kind of has it down to a system now that she finds that she has a lot more time in the evening than she does in the morning with the 4 kids, getting them ready for school. So before we go to bed, she gets everything prepared, throws it in the Instapot. And so then when we get up in the morning, it's already cooked and ready to go. And Carrie says that we always add some lemon juice. I haven't added lemon juice for a little while, but yeah, we put lemon juice in there. And then she said minced garlic as well. Yeah. And sometimes she'll put lemon juice in it when she cooks it, and then afterwards, depending on what seasoning we're using, we might use a little bit more lemon juice. Carrie, says that she adds the lemon juice when she preps it at night and gets it ready to go for us for the next day. So yeah, that's the oats that we have, and it never gets boring. And in fact, this morning, I was eating it, and it almost sometimes when I'm eating foods, it feels like they have a flavor to them that is surprising. Like there's something about the spinach that tasted a little bit different, or the mushrooms that tasted, slightly different, that then causes the whole dish to have a different flavor profile. And the seasonings that we put in them also kind of help vary the flavor profile of the food. But 900 days into my diet, and if you look back at my, what I've eaten each day that I do on my videos, 66% of my day is almost identical every day. It's the same oatmeal for breakfast. It's the same broccoli and potatoes for lunch. And then we have a varied dinner, or a variety of different things for dinner. We generally probably cycle through 5 to 10 different recipes that we have for dinners, but that's kind of the extent of our diet. And in the past, I always felt like I got bored with my diets. I felt like, I would be able to stick to a routine and eat the same things day after day, but eventually I would get bored with them. And in hindsight now, I look back and I think maybe it wasn't so much boredom, but it was that my body was sick of only getting to eat that little bit of stuff, and the little bit of stuff that it got to eat was always the same. And so then I think you get bored with it. I think that's what causes the boredom, is that you're not only eating a very restrictive or very kind of limited number of things, but you're not eating very much of those things. And that, at least that's my experiences in the past with my diets, has been trying to eat in moderation, still eating high calorie foods, just eating a smaller volume of it. Carrie here says with the oatmeal, it makes her life. Oh, so today's oatmeal was different because it didn't have any soy milk in it. So it was less creamy. So maybe that's why it had a little bit of a different flavor or taste to it than normally. Yeah, and Carrie says that our routine here makes it so much easier for the rest of our life when she doesn't have to think about what to make for 2 out of the 3 meals that we eat every day. You know, the 2 meals we have are pretty automatic, and that makes things a lot easier and a lot less stressful. And again, surprisingly, I don't get sick of it. I don't get tired of it. And that would be something where in any other diet, you know, I'd never gotten past day probably 300 in any other diet. So to be, you know, 3 times further along with this diet and still be satisfied with the food that I eat, still be excited, you know, I don't ever eat anything begrudgingly anymore. Or like that was something that maybe like the first couple weeks that I switched to eating this way, that I had kind of, it took time for my taste profile to change. But now the food, I get excited every time I get to eat something, even if it's something I had, you know, for the last 4 weeks straight, I still get excited that I get to eat it. So, and, yeah, there's been a lot of surprising things that have happened since I started this challenge. And that boredom thing is something that is surprising me. You know, I thought that I was going to run into that at some point, and I never did. I definitely ran into a curiosity point with my diet. You know, I was doing really good with my diet, and then I got curious to see, you know, how much I could push it with the processed foods. Or you know, at the time I feel like I made the choice to eat those foods that were off diet. And in hindsight, I look back and I think that I was almost trying those foods just to convince myself that I that when I got to my goal weight, I'd be able to eat those things, and then I wasn't sure if I'd like them. And I guess that really kind of goes into the title here. Today's stream is 900 days of no meat, and uh, it the not having animal products for 900 days has been extremely surprising about this challenge for me. And it was not, you know, something that I intended to have happen, but the change that it has created has been amazing, you know. And it's not just the meat, but it's all the animal products, the dairy, the eggs, all of that stuff. Removing those things from my diet has changed how I look at food, how I understand food, and what I can eat, and still stay that same weight or lose weight. And I remember the point I was getting at here is when I first started this diet, and every time I tell somebody, you know, the type of diet I'm eating, the first thing that comes to mind is there's no way I could do that. You know, I've had so many people in the last 900 days tell me there's no way I could go without meat. And the funny thing to me is the meat has really been the easiest thing for me to give up. The tougher things for me to give up has been the dairy and the eggs, and then the processed foods, you know, and all of the processed meat products that I used to have as well included with that. But when I switched to this diet, I still had that old mentality that I think many, probably almost every person that's on a restrictive diet has, and that's the mentality of the diet that I'm eating to lose weight is not the diet that I'm going to eat once I'm at my goal weight. And that's such it's such a misconception that everybody has going into their diet. And I believe it's partly because it's the only way you can motivate yourself to continue to stay on those diets is with the idea of there being this magical payoff at the end that, I can eat like this way for 9 months or for a year. And then when I get there, I'm going to be a healthy weight and all my health problems and all my weight problems are going to be gone. But that's not the reality of what happens for many, many people. Many people like me, you'll go on these restrictive diets, you'll have a good, few weeks, but then it's not sustainable and you can't keep up with it. And then you start blaming yourself because for the first 2 weeks you could do it. Why can't you do it the third week? You don't realize that it's not just that week that was the issue. It was the culmination of the stress that you were building up the 2 prior weeks, plus that third week that caused you to fall off your diet or to stray away from it. And, so this idea that what I'm eating to lose weight is not what I'm going to eat when I get to my goal weight is something that so many of us have. And, you go from doing what I was doing was I was eating the diet of somebody who was 600 pounds or 700 pounds. And while eating that diet, I was steadily climbing up on the scale. My weight was going up and up. And then I would switch to these diets of extreme calorie restriction. And it would go from eating like a 600-pound person eats to what a 90-pound person eats. So you're eating like this 90-pound person and you can do it for a little while, but like I said, it's not sustainable. And the mindset is that I only have to eat like this 90-pound person for this short period of time, and then I'll get to introduce the things I love again. And going into this challenge, one of the things I had in my mind was that I need to learn how to eat like somebody who is at my healthy weight. I have to not eat like somebody who's 600 pounds, not eat like somebody who's 900 pounds, but eat like somebody who's 220 pounds or 200 pounds. And by switching to a plant-based diet, I've been able to learn how to do that and to be able to satisfy my cravings for volume of food without putting myself into a calorie surplus every day like I used to. But even though I had that thought going in, it still didn't change my mind as I was doing this. And the idea that that when I came into this, that 11 months in, we went out to eat. We were out of town. We went out to a restaurant. We convinced ourselves that it would be okay. And that kind of started this whole process that I didn't realize that I was doing until I looked back on it. But we would go and we would try this vegan thing because in my head, in the back of my head, I think I still had that mentality that, I'm eating this whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet. It's going to help me get down to my goal weight. But once I get to my goal weight, I'm going to start enjoying these vegan foods that I'm seeing around. And so in order to convince myself that I was going to enjoy those foods at the goal, I allowed myself to have them while I was on my way to my goal. But what I found by doing that, by eating these processed foods that were high in sodium, high in sugar, tons of oil in them, that it was keeping me from getting to be that 220-pound person that I wanted to be. And that if I ate those foods when I get down to 220 pounds, they're not going to keep me at that weight. Those are going to be foods that are going to put weight back on me. And so even though they taste amazing and they were wonderful foods to eat, they're not foods for me. there's plenty of food out there for me to eat and for me to enjoy. Not eating a vegan pizza is just one more thing. And it's not even that difficult now to give up. The idea of not having a cheesy pizza again, it seems overwhelming until you can sit there and say, I haven't had a cheesy pizza for 900 days or 500 days or 300 days. And so, it's just changing your mindset about the food and understanding that, the food that, that you're eating to lose weight should be the food that you're eating when you're at your goal weight too. Like if you're having, because you're not learning anything when you eat like that 90-pound person, or like you're just putting a Band-Aid on a bigger issue. You're just trying to push off the issues of actually needing to learn how to eat properly by eating that way. Jennifer here says you had a neurologist tell you that you couldn't eat this way either, and why would you want to give, or you had a neurologist tell you that he couldn't eat this way either, and why would you want to give up so much? You told him that getting your quality of life back is a wonderful reason to just eat vegan. Yeah, it's something where they think of it as so restrictive. They think of it as giving up so many things, but it's really just a few things that we gave up. And when I think about how I changed my taste buds, it really, the things I gave up pales in comparison to the things that I never would have considered big parts of my diet. In the past, I never would have put, I would have never had broccoli. I would have never ate rice. Absolutely never ate rice. The farro and the barley and the oat groats and the steel cut oats are all things that were not part of my diet. They weren't things I was eating. Spinach, cauliflower and carrots, and everything that is in that bowl of food that I showed you from dinner last night, everything that's in this recipe, I would not have eaten. I would have asked for these ingredients to be left out of my dish, and I would have just had a bowl of water. But yeah, there's nothing in that soup that I would have gotten excited about 901 days ago. And now I look at that and I see all those bright colors and I think of how amazing it was. Janet here says, gosh, this is the freest she's ever felt with eating. It's amazing how others feel restricted. Yes, it's, and I think we use, they say the diets, these restrictive diets, but the restrictiveness of the diets that you have to worry about is when they restrict volume. People can survive on a restricted variety of foods. If we were in an area where the only thing we had to eat was potatoes, we could survive on just a single item. We could survive on just those potatoes, and we could survive on just the few items that were around us, because that's how nature would have been. We wouldn't have had this variety of 50 different produce items at the grocery store. We would have had maybe 4 or 5. So we can survive on a restricted variety. It's the restricted volume that we have to watch out for. And that's what people are focusing on is, when they say restrictive, they thinking about all of the items that are restricted, but they're not. It's not a restrictive diet. I eat so much food. Like, for me to have lost 9 to 10 pounds in the last 2 weeks after the volume of food I've eaten for the last 2 weeks is is mind-boggling to me. It doesn't seem like it makes sense because I still have this old mentality of how my diet and digestion works, and about, that, I really had the mindset that kind of calorie was a calorie and it didn't matter where the calorie came from. So if I was going to get my 200 calories from a donut or my 200 calories from a banana, it didn't make a difference. So why not eat the donut? But I know now that that's not the case, like, just because it goes into our mouth doesn't mean it magically becomes a calorie that you need or that you want, or it goes the right way. Um, let's see here. Gene here says that the only thing that's restricted is the sofas. Yes, you just have to get rid of the salt, the oil, the flour, the alcohol, and the sugar, right? That's sofas. Yeah. And Janet here said that all those sofa items make her crazy, and she's so thankful to be off of them. Yeah, like, I feel like it's something where all of those items, the salt, the oil, the what is it, flour, the alcohol, and the sugar, all of those things have some sort of kind of addictiveness to them. It might not be like a clinical addictiveness, or like, necessarily measurable, but they create that dopamine response in your mind that is unnatural, or it's beyond what nature intended us to have. And so um it's when you remove them from your diet, when I'm not eating the salt, the oil, and the sugar, I notice it, and I notice even the little hint of it getting introduced to my body. And if there's that tangible difference, if I can notice that difference, then it means it's doing something, uh, and generally I feel better when I'm not consuming them. And so it's like my overall feeling is better when I'm not consuming them, you know, whereas when I'm consuming them, my mood is really high at the time of consumption, but not as good when I'm not consuming them. So Carrie here said, they don't know what they don't know. Yeah, that's something that's really kind of, again, I go back to the day before I started this challenge. I was talking to somebody about what my plan was, and they're like, "You're crazy for doing the water fast, and what are you going to do afterwards?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I want to get away from the current, like, standard American diet. I want to get away from that as far as possible. Maybe I'll eat like paleo or do a keto kind of thing, or even like," and I'd mentioned to him maybe doing paleo, but eating more vegetation with the paleo diet, natural vegetation. And they recommended that I try eating a vegan diet. They had followed some people that had done the potato thing. And at the time I was like, no, I don't ever see myself not eating meat again. I couldn't not have cheese again. And then I started my fast 2 days later. And then 25 days later, while I'm fasting, I'm researching things about how to refeed. And I decide to give this vegan style diet, this whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free, no animal product diet, a chance. And just those 25 days, I had a complete shift in my willingness to give it a shot. And uh a lot of that was probably brought on by the fact that I was fasting, and I was able to be 25 days away from those addictions and those temptations. So I was more open to trying something different. When you have a cheeseburger, uh it's something where it's that next day you could still think about that cheeseburger and you get excited about having another cheeseburger. But when it's been 2 or 3 weeks since you had a cheeseburger, you might not get as excited about it as you would have before. Carrie says that you eat Brussels sprouts sometimes in place of your broccoli with breakfast, and you really like them with lemon balsamic. So she is doing a variety of things. It's not just broccoli. Sometimes it's Brussels sprouts. And then Pretty Girl's mom says you love lemon balsamic. Carrie says here that she snuck some sweet tarts from Easter, and just eating a few gave you an awful headache right behind your cheekbones. It was not worth it. And just having that was a good reminder to stay away. And Janet says, yes, instant body feedback. Wow. It's tough. Temptations are tough to, especially when it's something simple like, oh, what's that little one piece of candy going to do to me? And maybe in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't hurt you, but if having one of those takes a second off your life, then having, thousands of them over the course of your life can cause issues, I suppose. Susan here says you had a tiny vegan chocolate bar at Christmas and you had instant regret and you ended up in the couch with a headache and feeling sluggish and sleepy. It was yucky, and you love your food freedom now. Yes. And like Janet said before, that instant body feedback. And that's one of the things too, that like people bring up a lot of, I couldn't do that, or, or talking about having meat. Like I would be scared to eat any animal products right now, as far as what it would do to my body or my system or my stomach. That's something that kind of definitely keeps me away from the oil as well, and some of the sugar. And, then the salt does, like I said, the salt doesn't maybe give me a headache. But I get swelling, I get inflammation right away from the salt, but the sugar and the oil and the animal products, like my body isn't used to digesting them. Like it's almost the same thing that kept me on my water fast. So after I got, 2 weeks into my water fast, you get kind of to a point where you should be concerned, or that I was getting concerned about my refeeding, about what was going to happen when I reintroduced food. And I had heard stories about really bad things that had happened to people by refeeding improperly. So the fear of refeeding improperly helped keep me on that fast, because, I didn't want to do it wrong. And, the fear of the digestive issues that I would have from eating oil or sugar or animal products keeps me away from eating those foods as well. And also what keeps me motivated now is chaining those days together where I'm compliant. The first 11 months or 330 days, I was dead on compliant. And then the next 330 days, I was compliant. Probably 310 of the 330, but those 20 days that I wasn't compliant, it slowed down my weight loss, and I lost far less in that second 11 months than I did the previous 11 months. And now I'm, 20? So day 900 would be 30 months in. So I'm 8 months eating back on my diet, eating, salt, oil, sugar free. And my goal is to get past the 330-day mark, which is what it's going to be, 336, 990, 90 more days. And then I can say that I've re-hit my furthest or my longest time being compliant on my diet. Barb here says, happy Friday. Congrats on day 900. Yes, I never thought I would really make it. I hoped I would make it, but day 900 and day 1000, those are two pretty big milestones that gets me really close to the end. And in the past, I could do diets for a couple weeks, maybe a month, long enough to lose some weight before some special event that was coming up. Or maybe get myself to a somewhat lighter weight, but I never got to a healthy weight. I'm still not at a healthy weight. I've lost 250 pounds and I'm still not at a healthy weight. How insane is that? But I would celebrate those weight losses. Oh, I lost 50 pounds. I hit that goal. Let's go out and celebrate with some fast food or something stupid, or let's go out to dinner because I've done so good on my diet. Like just the dumb things that we've done in the past that are, I believe, motivated by hunger. And that is a huge difference with this. Barb says at day 1000, you earn your comma. Thank you. Yes, I get to put a comma in my number once I hit day 1000. It's going into this challenge. I had hopes. I had, hoped that I would be able to get through my water fast, and I crushed that, and I extended my water fast even longer than my hope was initially. My hope was to lose weight rapidly, and I did that for the first year. And then the hope going in is that I would still be doing it at day 900, but I don't know that I ever thought these things would actually happen, that I would be able to get the plan, put it in practice, and succeed. But it's worked for me so far, and I've been very happy with how things are going. Susan here says, you'll get there. Think of how many wonderful habits you're learning, new ways of shopping, cooking, and eating. Absolutely. Like, that's something for anybody who's just starting this diet or just starting this way of eating. You know nothing. You are an infant, a child trying to learn how to re-eat in this world. I know it sounds silly, but the first couple weeks we ate this way. I remember just standing at the door of my pantry, looking at all of these new ingredients on the shelves, thinking, I don't know how to cook with any of these. Carrie had, found some recipes, but there were ingredients that I just didn't use. I didn't know how to use. And so when I first started, my diet was really simple. Like when I would take care of making my own foods, it was single items like pineapple and cans of corn. And now I can make, much more complicated dishes like our polenta with white beans. It's not a very difficult dish to make. It only takes about a half an hour, but it's not something I would have even tried to learn how to make in the past, that I get excited to make now, or just all the things that I've learned and the habits that I've picked up. And the other thing that the mistakes I've made, or the miscalculations of what I can and can't eat, even though they're still salt, oil, sugar free, having fruit juice wasn't good for me. Eating avocados isn't great for me. Trying to lose weight and eating things like Ezekiel bread and nut butter, those things had to change. They might have been habits or things that I was able to do at 420 pounds and 350 pounds, but now at 270 pounds, I've had to learn and hone my knowledge of this diet to get better. Just like a professional athlete, has great gains when they first start learning, when they're in elementary school and they start learning how to play baseball. They go from not understanding it all to maybe they have natural talent and they do really well in elementary school. But then when they get to junior high, if they want to compete, they have to get better. And when they get to high school and college, it's that same way, is they have to continually get better if they want to advance within their sport. Well, if you want to advance within your weight loss, you have to get better at being on your diet or learning how to eat like somebody who is your healthy weight has to eat. And that takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. And so that's just something that you just have to be willing to learn, and you have to understand that everything you've learned up to this point is not necessarily right, or that you have to be willing to change how you think about those things in the past. Susan here says that you've been at this for 3 years now and you're still learning, still growing, and still doing your best. Yes, absolutely. That's exactly how I feel as well, is that, you know, I'm 902 days in and I am, you know, far more knowledgeable than I was 900 days ago, but I know nothing compared to somebody who's been doing this for 900 days more than me. And so, that's, again, we get it in our heads that we're these diet experts. We start this keto diet and we stay on the keto diet for a week or 2 weeks and we've lost all this weight. And so now I'm a keto expert. I know how to do keto. It's the easiest diet ever, guys. All you got to do is just stop eating carbohydrates. But that's easy to say 2 weeks into any diet. You could easily argue the same thing about removing meat. You know, people say it's so easy, you know, 2 weeks in. It's where the people are 4 months in, where they are 10 months in, 20 months in. You know, like for me, my experience with things like low carb dieting was I would do that. I would lose a bunch of weight thinking, well, shoot, I lost 15 pounds in the first 2 weeks, or I lost 20 pounds in the first month. I know how to do this. This is awesome. And then the third or fourth week or the second month come around, and then you start to see the struggles. You start to see some things getting in your way of success. And then you start blaming yourself because you were the self-proclaimed king of how to eat keto a week ago, and now you don't know anything. And you kind of have to, with any diet, you have to leave your ego at the door and just be like, I got to give the diet a chance to do what it's going to do without my interference or without me trying to change it for myself. Hello, Annette. I hope you're having a great day, getting ready for a busy. We're getting ready for a busy weekend. I hope you got some fun things planned for your weekend. So yeah, that was, you know, not having any animal products has been a huge surprise with this. There was another one I said earlier, I can't think of now. The other big surprise for me is the not having to be at the gym 3 to 5 to 7 times a week, doing half-hour sessions of cardio in the morning and in the evening and lifting weights. The fact that I've lost weight by not eating animal products, I've lost weight by not going to the gym or while not going to the gym, has been incredibly surprising to me as well. You know, like that was something that I initially was like, okay, I'm going to do this fast. I'm going to get a bunch of weight off quick, and then I'm going to start working out, and then I'm going to keep the weight loss going. And I did kind of do that. It was 9 months into the challenge, 8 months into the challenge. I'd lost over 150 pounds at that point, and I decided to challenge myself to do this physical sprint triathlon. If you don't know what a sprint triathlon is, it is so a triathlon is where you do a swim followed by a bike ride followed by a run. A sprint triathlon is a shortened version or a shorter version of the triathlon. So I swam for like 400 meters. I rode a bike for 15 miles and I walked a 5K. But I put that challenge in front of myself, kind of like, okay, I'm going to spark this weight loss by doing these workouts, and I'm going to challenge myself to do this, and I'm going to have to work out to do that. And then after I do it, I'll be in better shape, and then I'll be in a routine that I'm going to be working out, and everything will be wonderful. And what happened was, I challenged myself to do it. I gave myself, I think 6 weeks to get ready. And I completed the triathlon, and then 3 days later, I injured myself doing something completely unrelated, and it totally halted all of those workout kind of plans that I was building up to do. And when that happened, for a little while, we were still on our diet, and then it was kind of that injury, and then a month later we were out of town. Just everything added up. That's when I started kind of the going back and forth to having one meal a week that was like a cheat meal. But I never got back into working out. But even though I didn't get back into working out, I've still lost 50 pounds since that point in time. And that has been extremely surprising to me, that I've been able to lose the weight without having to do, set physical kind of activities. I realize now that I can lose weight, and I can just increase my physicality of my life, how much I get up and physically do things. When I was at 500 pounds, there was a lot of things that my kids did for me, because I could, think, well, they got young legs, they can run downstairs and grab that off the counter for me. Or, yeah, they can go do that for me. Whereas now, if I got to go down the steps or up the steps, I don't even think about it. I think about, when I come across steps, what I think about is how much easier they are to climb up or climb down than they used to be. Like I think about how difficult it used to be for me to climb a flight of steps, and how my heart rate would skyrocket when I would climb those flights of steps. So, that's great. Linda here says, it's so true. That is why channels like mine here provide, or that my channel provides inspiration, validation, and affirmation. Yes, that's something that I really enjoy about the community and the people that are sharing about eating this way. Something that I've said in the past, prior to starting this diet, I thought that people who ate a vegan diet were just going through a phase. I didn't think that people were like actually lived their whole lives not eating animal products. I thought that it was kind of something that, high schoolers or college kids do. They go vegan, but eventually that their health would catch up to them and they'd have to start eating animal products again. And now that I have been eating this way and I've been researching things, there are incredible people out there that have been doing this far longer than I've been doing it, that are doing it publicly, which means that there's even more people out there that are doing it not publicly, that you don't hear about. And I never would have thought that they existed, like what's the one guy, Huberman, I think is his name. Like, he's been vegetarian or vegan his entire life. Chef AJ's been vegan for tons of years. Goldhamer and Lisle, they've eaten diet free of animal product for decades. that I didn't think those people existed. I didn't think that that actually happened, or that you could do that. And now I realize that my 900 days is just a drop in the bucket compared to some people. But the fact that I can make it to 900 days without any animal products, without any meat, is amazing. Like, the number of animals that I used to eat in a day or a week or a year was incredible. Like, I would start my day off by eating a sausage patty and getting a chicken sandwich. And I'd do the same thing for lunch, and I'd get bacon on my hamburgers. And then I would get, cheese fries if I could get cheese fries, and all of the yeah, I mean, Carrie we would go to a fast food restaurant, and Carrie, I could tell she was sitting next to me, listening to me order my food, thinking, well, maybe today he won't order that extra sandwich. And I would order it every single time. And sometimes she would make a comment, do you really need the second sandwich, the second meal? And I would always say, yeah, like, it's there. And I would, but I could never, yeah. So I was as addicted to the food as anybody. And if I can get away from it and be away from it for 900 days, then anybody can get away from it. So Susan here says that you always had your kids doing things for you. Yeah, it's something that I feel bad about somewhat, but I'm happy that I'm correcting that issue. But yes, having the kids do things. It's really hard to move a heavy body around. Imagine climbing a flight of steps with 250 pounds of grains in bags. Yeah, like, that's 10 pounds away from being half the person I used to be. I'm still going to be 40 to 60 pounds overweight at half of the weight I used to be. And like, the idea that I could be carrying around another person, or I could have all my kids' weights combined, probably comes close to 250 pounds. Like, it's just crazy, the difference and how much easier life is because I don't have that. Susan says, you re-injured your back last week lifting a 25-pound bag of oat groats. That's awful, but you feel better now, but it makes you feel more aware of what damage you were doing to your body when you were 72 pounds heavier. Yeah, so just that 25-pound bag is a third of the weight that you lost, and you still caused injury to yourself. Yeah, that sucks. But hopefully you can recover quickly and feel better. You say lessons learned the hard way. Yeah, some of us have to learn them the hard way. Ricky here says, you're late too. No worries, Ricky. Thanks for stopping in. You wonder how my blood panel is now compared to when I was eating meat. I wish I could tell you. I wish I knew. When I started this challenge, I was afraid to go to the doctor. I really was. Like, it was just, and it wasn't that I felt sick. Overall, I felt unhealthy. I had swelling on my legs. Like, I worried. I didn't want to go to the doctor and just have them be like, well, you're fat. That's why you have all these problems, because that's what I assumed they would say. But so I wouldn't go to the doctor. And had I gone to the doctor, I'm sure I would have had a myriad of issues. But I didn't get any blood work done from 2013 until 2021. I guess it would have been the first time I got blood work. And I never really had like bad blood work back in 2013. But the overall, I'm sure that my blood is better. It's got to be better. And the clearing up of the swelling around my ankles, the fact that those sores have healed and dried up, those are all things that, I was worried to go to the doctor and have them tell me that I was pre-diabetic and things like that. So yeah, and it is one of my regrets that I didn't do blood work beforehand, but also the same thing is I don't put a ton of stock into blood work. I think it's important if you're having issues. It can help kind of point doctors in the right direction. But I feel like somebody can go into the doctor and they can have a 98% perfect blood test, but then one of their numbers is off, and then the doctor right away prescribes them something to adjust that 2%. And I think it's something where it helps the doctor justify his job, well, you were at 98%, I can make you at 100, but there's also consequences to those prescriptions that maybe it'll improve that 2% that you were lacking in that one area, but it might cause you issues in others. So I worry that people take blood work as gospel for what's going on in their body, when if they did a blood panel today and it showed an abnormal number, that doesn't guarantee that if they did blood work tomorrow that same abnormal number would show off. Your blood work is like a snapshot of what's going on in your body at that moment. So like I said, while it's important for diagnosing things and trying to find out what issues you're having, I think that changing your routine based off of blood work can be dangerous. So, and Carrie says, yes, we're about due for more blood work. I mentioned that the other day. I think that I need to go in and get some blood work done. But my numbers have always been good with my blood work since starting this diet. So I don't, and I feel good. I go off of how I feel personally, and I feel good. So amazing weight loss. You're very proud of me. Thank you, Ricky. And what a wonderful inspiration to you and the rest of you guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. And that's what I hoped when I started this, is that I could be at a point where I would inspire people. That's something that there was a lot of reasons why I started this channel, but one of them was to show me as I do it along the way. And if I didn't get to my goal weight, then I wouldn't have inspired anybody. And I'm not to my goal weight, so I'm still working towards getting to my goal weight, so then I can really feel like people will start to get really inspired. The difference between 520 and 270 is amazing, but the difference between 520 and 220 is even more amazing, and maybe just as amazing as that difference from before, from the 250. That last 50 pounds, I think, is, in my opinion, from the start, before I even got to the point where I'm here, that getting to my goal is where more people are going to find inspiration. And then just showing a roadmap of how I did it, because that's one of the two things I would find online. I would find examples of people starting off the gate very excited, very kind of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to conquer the world. And then you don't see them after 10 months. Or the other flip of it that I would see is people that would go, hey, this is me real fat here 2 years ago, and here's me today, and I did it with this one simple hack. And it's like, well, there was 600, 700 days there that you did stuff, that doesn't, again, similar to the blood work, that's just a snapshot of what that person's life is at that moment. That doesn't mean that they did everything right or everything healthy to get to that weight that they were at. And there's no evidence that they're still at that healthy weight as well. So Carrie here says giving people a playbook to follow, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I would, yeah, that was kind of, yeah, that was my hope. But again, I was not going to eat this way. I was going to water fast my way to a healthy weight. I was going to jump from a long extended water fast to eating, maybe fasting for 3 days a week or 2 days a week, or eating, I was going to fast my way to a healthy weight. And I ended up calling an audible about a month in and totally changed what I was going to do. But yeah, I think that if people are willing to eat an abundance of food, that this is a great way to lose weight. And that was something that I felt like was my issue for years and years, was that I couldn't stop eating. I always needed to eat more. And now I found that I get to satisfy that I can't stop eating. I always want to eat more by changing the content of the food that I eat. So, but yes, I appreciate everybody being on here today. I need to get going. I'm sure Carrie is screaming at the phone, hurry up, John, get home. There's a million things you have to do. So I should get out of here. But I appreciate everybody so much for following along and supporting me, and all the wonderful comments. It really does help keep me going, keep me motivated to keep on with my challenge. So everybody have a great weekend. I will be back on Monday. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you get subscribed to the channel. If you haven't clicked on the bell icon, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. Hit that thumbs up on this video, guys. I'd really appreciate it. And if you have not started your diet yet, what are you waiting for? There's nothing coming up this weekend that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. Nobody gets to their goals and wishes they would have waited. And let's say you did decide that Monday is your day. I'm going to do it Monday. What are you doing between now and Monday to make sure that you're going to succeed? Just because the diet starts Monday, the plan starts now. The plan starts now. What foods are you getting rid of? What foods are you bringing into your house? How are you going to avoid the temptations? Make those plans before Monday. I did that so many times where I said the diet starts Monday, and then Monday showed up and I said, okay, what's the plan? And I go, oh, I didn't think about that. I'm supposed to have a plan? No, I'm just starting the diet today. I didn't know I was supposed to have a plan on my diet. And then it falls apart right away. Oh, I did start. I started. Yeah, but I ended up stopping at fast food on my way into work because I couldn't handle it. The 30 minutes on my diet was too much. Start now, get planning now. Don't just get going. So thank you guys, and we will see you on Monday. Rick said you started your diet a week ago, so you have a long way to go. Yeah, but it feels amazing. Like I have felt like I have a long way to go for a while now, but I feel so healthy on the inside that it doesn't bother me that I have a long way to go anymore. It bothered me at the beginning, but now it doesn't. Now I feel healthier than I've ever felt, and that's what I hold on to. So I'll see you guys Monday. Everybody have a great weekend. Wrong button.